In the fog-shrouded town of Hollow Harbor, Eliza Thorne clings to the memory of her lost husband, but a cursed necklace and haunting dreams pull her toward an ancient, cosmic horror lurking beneath the sea. As the stars spiral and the waves sing her name, Eliza must face a chilling truth. The deep demands a price, and her blood may be the key to saving or dooming the world. Chapter 1. The Shadowed Unveiling. The small town of Hollow Harbor, where the sea met the land in a rough hug, lived a woman named Eliza. She was the widow everyone talked about in low voices. Her husband, Captain Thorne, had gone out to sea one stormy night and never came back. That was 2 years ago. Now, Eliza stayed in their old house on the cliff, looking out at the waves that took him away. The town was full of fog most days, and the air smelled like salt and old wood. People said the harbor was cursed, but Eliza didn't believe in curses back then. She just felt empty, like a shell washed up on the beach. Eliza woke up each morning to the sound of gulls crying outside her window. The house creaked like it was alive, with floors that groaned under her feet. She had long black hair that she tied back, and eyes that were green like the sea on a calm day. But her face looked tired, with lines from worry. She wore simple dresses, grey and black, to match her sad heart. The town folks pitied her, bringing her bread or fish sometimes, but they kept their distance. They whispered that Thorne had seen something out there in the water, something that drove men mad. One morning, as the sun tried to peek through the clouds, Eliza sat by the fire with a cup of tea. The flames danced, casting shadows on the walls. She thought about Thorne's last words before he left. "The stars are wrong tonight, Eliza. They look like eyes staring down." She shook her head, trying to forget. But lately, dreams came to her. At night, dreams of vast spaces, where the sky and sea mixed into one big nothing, and strange shapes moved in the dark. She decided to walk down to the harbor. The path was steep, rocks slippery from the mist. Hollow Harbor was a place forgotten by time. Old ships rotted in the docks, their sails torn like ghosts. Fishermen mended nets with rough hands, their faces weathered by wind and salt. They nodded to Eliza, but didn't speak. She reached the water's edge and stared out. The sea was grey, waves lapping softly like whispers. Far off, she could see the lighthouse, its light faint even in day. As she stood there, a boy ran up. He was Timmy, the son of the innkeeper. "Miss Eliza," he shouted, out of breath. His cheeks were red, eyes wide. "I found something on the beach. It washed up last night. Looks like it belonged to your husband." Eliza's heart jumped. "Show me," she said, her voice steady, but inside she trembled. They walked along the shore, pebbles crunching under their shoes. The beach was littered with seaweed and broken shells. Timmy pointed to a spot near the rocks. There, half buried in sand, was a wooden box. It was small, carved with strange mark swirls and lines that looked like waves, but also like stars falling. Eliza knelt down and brushed off the sand. The box felt cold, heavier than it should be. She opened it carefully. Inside was a necklace, gold chain with a pendant shaped like a spiral shell. But the shell had tiny holes that glowed faintly, like eyes in the dark. There was also a note, yellowed paper with ink smudged by water. It read, "The deep calls to those who listen. Beware the veil between worlds." Her hands shook. This was Thorne's handwriting. He had worn that necklace every voyage. How did it come back now, after so long? Timmy watched her. "Is it his? Should I tell my PA?" "No," Eliza said quickly. "Thank you, Timmy. Run along now." The boy left, glancing back with curious eyes. Eliza clutched the box and hurried home. The fog thickened as she climbed the path, wrapping around her like a cloak. In the house, she locked the door and sat at the table. She put on the necklace. It felt warm against her skin, unlike the cold box. That night, the dreams came stronger. She saw Thorne on his ship, the waves huge and black. But above, the stars weren't right. They moved, swirling into shapes that hurt her eyes. Thorne shouted, but no sound came. Then, from the water, tentacles rose, big, slimy things that grabbed the ship. But they weren't just sea creatures. They pulsed with lights from other worlds, like the universe itself was alive and hungry. Eliza woke, sweating, the necklace tight. Around her neck, she tore it off and hid it in a drawer. But sleep wouldn't come back. She lit a candle and paced the room. The house felt smaller, walls closing in. Outside, the wind howled, carrying sounds like distant moans. The next day, she went to see old widow Graves. She lived in a shack by the woods, known for telling fortunes with bones and shells. People said she knew the old ways, from before the town was built. Eliza knocked on the door, which creaked open. Inside, it smelled of herbs and smoke. Widow Graves sat by a fire, her white hair, wild eyes, milky blind. "What brings the sea's widow to my door?" she croaked. Eliza showed her the necklace. "This washed up. It was my husband's. And this note." The old woman touched it with bony fingers. Her face twisted. "Ah, the spiral. Sign of the watchers from beyond. Your man saw too much. The veil is thin here in Hollow Harbor. The sea hides doors to places where gods sleep, gods older than time, with no care for us tiny folk." Eliza frowned. "Gods, that's just stories." Widow Graves laughed, a dry sound. "Stories come from truth. The cosmic deep, where stars are born and die." Thorne poked the veil. "Now it pokes back." Eliza left feeling colder. She didn't believe, but doubt crept in like fog. Back home, she tried, too busy herself cleaning, sewing. But the necklace called to her. She put it on again, just for a moment. Warmth spread through her, and visions flashed. Vast emptiness, planets swirling, beings of light and shadow, whispering secrets. She snapped out of it, heart pounding. What was happening? Was she going mad, like the tales of sailors who stared too long at the horizon? Days passed. The town buzzed with talk. More things washed up: podstones with carvings, fish with extra eyes. Fishermen stayed ashore, fearing the water. Eliza kept to herself, but the dreams grew. Each night, she saw more. Cities under the sea, built of coral and bone, where creatures with tentacles and wings danced under alien moons. One evening, as dusk fell, a knock came at her door. It was Reverend Hale, the town preacher. He was tall, with a stern face and Bible always in hand. "Eliza, may I come in? Folks are worried about you." She let him in, though wary. He sat, eyes on the necklace she forgot to hide. "That's a pagan thing. Where did you get it?" "It was Thorne's," she said. He shook his head. "The sea gives back what it takes, but twisted. There's evil in these waters, old evil from when the world was young. Gothic tales of ghosts, but worse. Cosmic forces that don't heed our prayers." Eliza listened, fear growing. He prayed over her, words echoing in the room. But as he left, she felt no peace. The night deepened, stars bright outside. She looked up. They seemed to wink, like eyes. Sleep came hard. In dreams, Thorne appeared, face pale, eyes black voids. "Eliza, the veiled tears. The watchers come. They show me wonders, endless space, knowledge that burns. Join me." She woke screaming. The necklace glowed on her chest. She ran to the window. Below, the sea churned, foam white like teeth. Morning brought rain. Eliza ventured to the library, a dusty building in town center. Mr. Linden, the keeper, greeted her with a nod. "Looking for something specific?" "Books on the sea legends," she said. He pulled out old tomes, pages yellow. She read of ancient mariners who saw gods in the deep, Thulu-like beings, but not named so. Vast entities from stars, sleeping in ocean trenches, dreaming worlds into being. The spiral symbol meant their mark, a key to forbidden knowledge. Her mind reeled. Was this real? Compressed in those pages was history of Hollow Harbor, founded on ruins of older folk who worshipped. The deep ships vanished, widows went mad. She left with more questions. Home felt unsafe. Shadows lurked in corners, whispering. She boarded windows, but wind rattled them. That night, a storm hit. Thunder boomed, lightning cracked. Eliza huddled by fire. The necklace pulled her. She put it on. Visions flooded, cosmic vistas, galaxies spinning, black holes sucking light. Beings of pure energy, indifferent to human pain, their thoughts like storms. She saw Thorne, changed body, twisted, mind vast. "The knowledge compresses everything," he said in her head. "See the truth." Eliza fought back, ripping off the necklace. But the storm raged. Waves crashed high, almost to the cliff. Dawn broke gray. Town was battered, docks splintered. People gathered, murmuring. Eliza joined them. "What happened?" she asked a fisherman. "The sea's angry. Something stirs below." She knew then the veil was thinning. Cosmic horrors peeked through Gothic mists of her life. Days blurred. Eliza explored the cliff paths, finding carvings on rock spirals, stars, she met hermits who spoke of the great old ones, beings from beyond time. One afternoon, in a hidden cove, she found a cave. Inside, walls glowed with fungi, air thick. At the back, an altar of stone, with the same spiral. Touching it, knowledge, compressed into her mind, the universe vast, earth a speck. God slept, but woke to human calls. She fled, terrified yet drawn. Nights worsened. Dreams showed the deep trenches where light never reached. Creatures with eyes like stars, tentacles wrapping worlds. Thorne visited often. Embrace it, Eliza. The Gothic sorrow fades in cosmic wonder. She resisted, but curiosity grew. A week later, the town held a meeting. Reverend Hale spoke. Evil comes, we must pray. But Eliza knew prayer wouldn't help. The forces were beyond good or evil and caring voids. She confided in Timmy's father, the innkeeper. My husband found something out there. He nodded. Many have. The harbor's name comes from hollow spaces below, portals to other realms. Eliza's isolation broke. She sought allies, but fear kept them away. Alone, she delved deeper. Reading more, she learned of rituals to close the veil but also to open it wider. Temptation whispered, knowledge, power, reunion with Thorne. But horror lurked, madness, loss of self in the cosmic sea. As chapter end neared, Eliza stood on cliff, wind whipping, sea called, stars watched. The widow of Hollow Harbor was changing, pulled into shadows beyond understanding. Chapter 2. Whispers from the fog. The fog rolled into Hollow Harbor thicker than ever, like a living thing that swallowed sound and light. It clung to the town for days, wrapping the houses in a damp, grey shroud. The air smelled of salt and something older, like secrets buried in the deep. Eliza felt the weight of it, heavy on her chest, as if the fog knew her name. The necklace, hidden in her drawer, seemed to hum softly, even though she hadn't touched it since that first night. At night, she heard whisper soft, slippery words that sounded like Thorne's voice, calling from somewhere far away. Eliza, come to the sea, they said, fading into the wind. She tried to ignore them, busying herself with chores. She swept the creaky floors of her cliffside house, mended old curtains, and boiled tea over the fire. But the whispers followed, sneaking through cracks in the walls. The town felt emptier each day. Fishermen stayed off the water, their boats tied tight at the docks. People locked their doors, eyes darting to the shadows. They said the fog brought bad things, ghosts, maybe, or worse. Timmy, the innkeeper's boy, told her he'd seen shapes moving in the mist, tall and thin with too many arms. His eyes were wide, but Eliza told him it was just his imagination. She wasn't sure she believed that herself. Eliza couldn't sit still. Her dreams were getting worse, visions of endless black seas under skies, with stars that twisted into shapes no human should see. She needed answers. The lighthouse stood at the edge of town, a lonely tower on a rocky point, its paint chipped, and its light weak, even in the day. Keeper Jonas lived there, an old man with one cloudy eye and a limp from some long-ago wreck. He was the only one who might know about the strange things happening. Eliza pulled her shawl tight and walked the steep path to the lighthouse, fog swirling around her like it wanted to hold her back. Her boots slipped on wet stones, and the wind carried those whispers again. Sharper now, Eliza, the deep waits. She knocked on the lighthouse door. It creaked open, revealing a dark spiral staircase. The air inside smelled of oil and salt. Jonas, she called, her voice small in the tall tower. A grunt came from above. She climbed, steps groaning, until she reached the top. Jonas sat by the great lamp, staring out at the grey sea through a cracked window. His face was lined like old leather, his one good eye sharp and suspicious. "What do you want, widow?" he rasped, not turning. "I need to know about the deep things," Eliza said, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. "The sea, the whispers." Jonas laughed, a rough sound like rocks tumbling. "Everyone wants to know, till they see. The fog brings them whispers from beyond. Stars, a line wrong, and the veil frays." He pointed to the window, where the fog pressed thick. "This ain't just weather, it's a sign. Something's waking." Eliza's stomach twisted. "My husband Thorne, he saw something out there, didn't he?" Jonas turned now, his eye glinting. "Aye, he sought treasure in forbidden waters, old maps, places no sailor should go. Found the spiral folk instead, things that don't belong to our world. They marked him with that necklace. It's a key, a call. You wear it. You hear them too. Eliza's hand went to her chest, though the necklace was back home. What are they? Jonas leaned closer, his voice low. Old ones, older than the earth, sleeping in the deep, where light don't reach. They dream, and their dreams leak through. This town's built on their bones, hollow places under the sea. Thorne poked too deep. Now they know his name, and yours. She shivered, the air in the lighthouse cold as a grave. Jonas told her stories. Ships lost to giant shadows, sailors returning with eyes like glass, babbling of endless voids and cities of coral and bone. He spoke of the spiral, a sign of things that watch from beyond the stars, things that don't care for human prayers or pain. The fog's their breath, he said. They're close now. Eliza left the lighthouse, with her heart pounding. The fog seemed to follow her, curling round her legs like a cat. The whispers grew louder as she walked home, words she couldn't quite catch, like a song half-remembered. Eliza, the veil is thin. She hurried up the cliff path, the sea roaring below, its waves sounding hungry. That night, she locked her door and checked the windows. The house creaked, as if it were whispering to. She lit a candle, its flame flickering in the damp air. The drawer where she kept the necklace felt heavy, like it was pulling her toward it. She didn't open it. Instead, she sat by the fire, trying to think of normal things, mending nets, baking bread. But the fog pressed against the windows, and the whispers came through the walls. Come to us, they said, clear as bells. Sleep brought no rest. Her dreams were full of the sea, but not the one she knew. It was a black ocean, vast and endless, stretching to meet a sky where stars spun in spirals. She floated there, weightless, while shapes moved below, huge, slow things with tentacles that glowed like dying stars. They didn't see her, but their presence pressed on her mind, heavy with thoughts too big for her to hold. She woke, gasping, her hands clutching the blanket. The room was dark, but the fog had slipped inside, curling in corners like smoke. Words formed in the mist, faint and glowing. Come to us. Eliza's heart raced. Fog couldn't get inside a locked house. She lit another candle, its light pushing the mist back. She grabbed sage from a jar, something Widow Graves had given her, and burned it. The sharp smell filled the room, and the whispers faded, but not completely. They lingered, soft as a sigh. The next morning, the fog was still there, thicker now, hiding the sun. The town was quiet, streets empty. Eliza went to the inn, hoping to find Timmy's father, Amos. He was a big man with a kind face, always ready to listen. She found him sweeping the porch, his eyes tired. Amos, she said, have you heard the whispers? He stopped, leaning on his broom. I started a few nights back. Fishermen won't go out. Say the sea's talking. He looked at her, worry in his face. You're hearing them too? She nodded. Since the necklace came back, it's Thorne's voice. Sometimes. Amos frowned. That necklace ain't right. Things wash up here, but they come with a price. My PA used to say the harbor's hollow tunnels below, leading to places we shouldn't know. Eliza's throat tightened. What places? Old places, Amos said. Before the town was built, folk here worshipped the sea, left offerings, carved spirals in the rocks. Some say they opened doors to elsewhere, places where time don't work right. She thought of the necklace's spiral pendant, its tiny glowing holes. What do I do? Amos shook his head. Stay away from the water. Burn that necklace if you can. But she couldn't. It was all she had left of Thorne. That afternoon, a stranger came to town. He walked through the fog like he belonged to it, a tall man in a black coat, his face pale and sharp. He came to the inn, asking for Eliza by name. I hear you found something, he said, voice smooth as oil. A necklace. It's a key to knowledge, things no one else knows. Eliza's skin prickled. Who are you? He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. A seeker, like your husband. Show me the necklace. She lied, said she didn't have it. He didn't believe her, but he left, his coat blending into the fog. That night, she saw him outside her house, standing still, watching. The fog hid him, but she felt his eyes. The whispers grew worse. They followed her everywhere, market, cliff, even church. Reverend Hale noticed her shaking during his sermon about sin and salvation. He pulled her aside after. Eliza, you look haunted. She almost told him about the whispers, the necklace, the dreams, but his stern face stopped her. Just tired, she said. He didn't believe her. There's evil in this fog. Old, deep evil. Stay away from pagan things. She nodded, but his words felt hollow. The whispers weren't evil, they were something else, something bigger. They promised secrets, truths about the stars and the sea. Part of her wanted to listen. The next night, the fog was so thick, she couldn't see the cliff's edge from her window. She burned more sage, but the whispers cut through. Eliza, open the veil. She checked the drawer. The necklace glowed faintly, its spiral warm to the touch. She didn't put it on, but her fingers lingered in her dreams. The sea called louder. She saw Thorne, standing on a ship made of bone, his face half gone, eyes like black holes. The deep is beautiful, he said, let it in. She woke screaming, the candle out, the room cold. The fog was inside again, writing words on the walls. We see you. Eliza ran to Widow Graves' shack the next day. The old woman sat by her fire, bones scattered on the table. You're back, she croaked. Heard the whispers, didn't you? Eliza nodded, showing her the necklace. Widow Graves hissed, that's their mark. The spiral folk. They're awake, and they want you. The fog's their way in. What do I do? Eliza asked. Fight it, Widow Graves said, or it'll take you, like it took Thorne. Burn the necklace, salt the house. Pray, if you think it helps. Eliza left, her mind spinning. The town was a ghost place now. Windows boarded, streets silent. She saw shapes in the fog tall, wrong shapes that moved too smoothly. At home, she salted the doors, but the whispers laughed. You can't hide. She went to the library again, digging through dusty books. Mr. Linden helped pulling out tomes about ancient seas and forgotten gods. She read of mariners who sailed too far, finding places where the sky and sea were one. The spiral was there, sign, a key to doors between worlds. Hollow Harbor's name came from caverns below, where old rituals opened those doors. Her dreams grew wilder. She saw cities under the sea, towers of coral and bone, lit by glowing fish with too many eyes. Creatures danced there, their bodies wrung tentacles and wings, moving to music she couldn't hear. Thorne was there, smiling, his hand outstretched. Join us, he said. She woke, heart pounding. The necklace was on her chest. She hadn't put it there. The fog didn't lift. The stranger came back, knocking on her door. Give me the key, he said. I can show you wonders. Eliza slammed the door, bolting it. She hid the necklace under a floorboard, but its hum followed her. The whispers grew into voices, chanting, the veil is thin. Step through. She stood on the cliff that night, fog wrapping her like a cloak. The sea roared below, waves crashing like a heartbeat. Above, the stars peeked through, but they weren't right. They moved, forming spirals. Eliza felt torn fear of the unknown, longing for Thorne, hunger for the secrets the whispers promised. The Gothic chill of her lonely life mixed with the cosmic pull of something vast, something that didn't care if she lived or broke. The chapter ends with her on the edge, whispers louder, the veil thinning, and the sea calling her name. Chapter 3. The old house secrets. The fog clung to Hollow Harbor like a stubborn shadow, but Eliza felt a new pull not from the sea, but from her own home. The old house on the cliff, with its sagging beams and peeling paint, seemed to watch her now. Its walls creaked at night, not just from wind, but as if whispering secrets of their own. The necklace, hidden under a floorboard, still hummed faintly, its spiral pendant warm even through the wood. The whispers from the fog followed her inside, blending with the house's groans, saying her name in low, eerie tones. Eliza, find us. She couldn't ignore it anymore. The house, built by Thorne's great-grandfather, held answers, she was sure of it. It was a Gothic relic, all dark wood and narrow halls, with windows that rattled like chattering teeth. Eliza lit a lantern, its glow casting long shadows, and began to search. She tapped walls, listening for hollow spots, and checked corners where dust gathered thick. The air smelled of salt and old paper, and every step made the floorboards moan. In the attic, she found a loose panel behind a stack of crates. It popped open with a push, revealing a small, hidden room. Dust swirled in the lantern's light, and the air was cold, like a cave. Inside, shelves held books and paper thorns, journals, dozens of them, bound in cracked leather. Her heart raced as she pulled one down. The pages were filled with his neat handwriting, but also wild sketches, spirals, stars in patterns that hurt her eyes, and shapes that looked like creatures but weren't. Tentacles curled around towers, Eyes glowed in waves. She read by lantern light, shadows dancing on the walls. Thorne wrote of the house, calling it built on old ground, where the first settlers heard the call. He described dreams like hers, vast seas under alien skies, cities of coral and bone where things older than time slept. The spiral is there, Mark, he wrote. A key to doors we shouldn't open. The house knows, it remembers. Eliza's hands shook. The house felt alive now, its creaks like words she couldn't understand. She found a sketch of the necklace, its spiral pendant drawn with care, tiny dots marking the glowing holes. Beside it, Thorne had written, "The veil is thin here, the deep reaches up." She explored further, driven by a mix of fear and need. Downstairs, in the kitchen, she noticed a floorboard loose under her foot. Prying it up, she found a trapdoor, rusted, hinges screaming as she opened it. A ladder led to a basement she never knew existed. The air was damp, smelling of earth and sea. Her lantern flickered as she climbed down, revealing stone walls carved with spirals same as the necklace, same as Thorne's sketches. At the bottom, bones lay scattered on the floor. Not human, she hoped, but too big for fish or seals. They were smooth, almost polished, and some had carvings, teeny stars and waves. In the center of the room was a stone slab, like an altar, etched with a large spiral. Touching it, her mind flooded with visions, ancient people in robes, chanting under a sky of wrong stars, offering blood to the sea. Their voices echoed, promising knowledge that burned. She stumbled back, the visions fading, her breath fast. The house groaned louder that night, as if angry she'd found its secrets. She boarded up the trapdoor, but the whispers grew, now coming from the walls. Eliza, deeper. Shadows moved in corners, forming shapes all thin, with too many limbs. She burned sage, but it only made the air heavy, the whispers mocking. The next day, she returned to the journals. Thorne wrote of the town's founding, how settlers built on ruins of older folk who worshipped the deep. They carved spirals to call the watchers, beings from beyond the stars, sleeping in ocean trenches. The house is a door, he wrote. Its roots touch the hollows below. Eliza's skin crawled. Was that why the necklace came back? Was the house part of it? She found more in the Attica map, drawn on cloth, showing Hollow Harbor's coast. It marked spots in the sea with spirals, labeled gates. One was near the lighthouse, another in a cove below her cliff. Thorne's notes said he sailed. 2-1, saw lights in the water, heard voices promising truths about the universe. I can't stop, he wrote. The knowledge is too much, but I need it. Eliza's dreams that night were vivid. She stood in the basement, the altar glowing, the walls opened, revealing a starry void where creatures swam, tentacles and eyes, pulsing with light. They spoke in her mind, words like thunder. See the truth. Join us. She woke, sweating, the house silent but heavy, like it was holding its breath. Reverend Hale came the next morning, his face grim. Eliza, you're pale. What's in this house? He'd heard talk folk saw her light burning late, saw shadows in her windows. Nothing, she lied, but he saw the journal on the table. Destroy those, he said, they're poison. Thorne meddled with things beyond us Gothic sins, but worse, the sea is alive with old evil. Eliza clutched the journal. They're all I have of him. Hale's eyes softened, but his voice stayed hard. They'll take you too. Burn them, or I'll do it myself. He left, and Eliza hid the journals in the attic. She couldn't burn them. The knowledge, compressed in those pages, was truths wrapped in Gothic dread. She needed to know more, even if it scared her. That night, a storm hit. Lightning cracked, illuminating symbols on the ceiling, spirals and stars, hidden in the wood's grain. She hadn't seen them before. The house shook, windows rattling like they'd break. The whispers turned to chants. Open the door, let us in. Eliza went to the basement again, drawn despite her fear. The altar's spiral glowed faintly, pulsing with her heartbeat. She touched it, and visions came again. Vast galaxies spinning, black holes swallowing light, beings of energy watching Earth like ants. Their thoughts were too big, crushing her mind. She pulled away, gasping, and ran upstairs. The storm raged. On she found a note in Thorne's journal, tucked in the back. The house is alive. It wants the veil torn. I'm sorry, Eliza. Her heart broke. Had Thorne known he'd leave her to this? The next day, she went to Amos at the inn. The house, she said. It's part of it, isn't it? Amos nodded. his face pale. "Old folk built it on a hollower place where the deep touches land. Your husband knew he dug too deep." "What do I do?" she asked. "Leave," Amos said, "or fight. But fighting means facing things no one should." Eliza returned home, the house darker now, shadows thicker. She found more carvings, ender tables, behind paintings. The spirals were everywhere, like eyes watching. She tried to sleep, but the whispers were screams now, echoing in her skull. Eliza, the veil. In her dreams, she was in the basement, but it stretched forever, walls fading into stars. Thorne stood by the altar, his body wrung, forearms, eyes glowing. "The house is ours," he said. "Join us in the deep." She awoke, the lantern out, the room cold. The trapdoor was open, though she'd nailed it shut. Footsteps echoed below, slow, wet, like something climbing up. Eliza grabbed a knife, her heart pounding. The house wasn't just a house anymore. It was a gate, a mouth to something vast and hungry. The Gothic sorrow of her widowhood mixed with cosmic terror, compressing her world into a single truth. The secrets were waking, and they wanted her. Chapter 4. Dreams of the deep Sither house had become a cage of whispers and shadows, but it was Eliza's dreams that truly trapped her. Each night they pulled her deeper into a world that wasn't hers, a sea of endless black, where stars bled into waves and things older than time stirred. The necklace, still hidden under the floorboard, pulsed like a heartbeat, its spiral pendant calling her even in sleep. The fog outside lingered, a grey veil that muffled Hollow Harbor. But the dreams were sharper, clearer, as if the sea itself was painting pictures in her mind. They were both beautiful and terrifying, a mix of Gothic dread and cosmic wonder that left her breathless. Eliza tried to stay awake, drinking bitter tea by the fire, but exhaustion always won. When sleep came, she fell into the deep sea, not the harbor's familiar waves, but a vast, inky ocean that stretched forever. The water was cold, pressing against her like a living thing, yet she could breathe, move, see. Above, the sky was a chaos of stars, twisting into spirals that made her dizzy. Below, runes rose from the sea floor, towers of coral and bone, glowing with a sickly green light. Creatures moved among them, their bodies wrong, tentacles curling like smoke, wings that shimmered like oil, eyes that burned like tiny suns. They didn't notice her, but their presence filled her head with thoughts too big to hold, thoughts of universes born and dying, of time folding in on itself. In these dreams, Thorne was always there. He stood on a reef, his face pale, his eyes black voids. "See the beauty in the horror, Eliza," he said, his voice echoing in her skull. "The deep holds truths you can't imagine." He reached for her, his hand cold but familiar, and she wanted to take it, to feel him again. But his touch brought flashes, galaxies spinning, black holes swallowing light, beings of pure energy watching from beyond. Their thoughts were heavy, indifferent, crushing her with their vastness. She woke each time gasping, her heart racing. The room dark and the house creaking like it was laughing. By day, Eliza was a ghost of herself. Her skin grew pale, her green eyes distant, like the sea on a calm day, but clouded with fear. She barely left the house now, afraid of the fog and the whispers that followed her. The town noticed. Timmy, the innkeeper's boy, brought her bread one morning and stared. "You look sick, Miss Eliza," he said, his voice small, like you've seen a ghost. "Not a ghost," she said, forcing a smile, "just not sleeping." Well, he didn't believe her, but he left, glancing back with wide eyes. Eliza shut the door and leaned against it, her hands shaking. The dreams were changing her, pulling her toward something she didn't understand. She went to the attic, pulling out Thorne's journals again. The pages were her only anchor, their words a map to the madness. Thorne wrote of the deep sea, of places where the veil between worlds was thin. "The dreams are doors," he wrote. "They show what waits beyond. The spiral folk live there, in cities older than Earth, dreaming our world into being." Eliza's breath caught. Was that what she saw? Were her dreams not just dreams, but glimpses of truth? She found a sketch in the Genola city under the sea, towers twisted like shells, lit by glowing fish with too many eyes. It matched her dreams perfectly. Thorne's notes spoke of knowledge, of secrets that could remake the mind. "The deep calls to those who listen," he wrote. "But listening breaks you." She closed the journal, her hands cold. The house groaned, and she swore the walls pulsed like a heartbeat. She needed help. She went to Widow Graves' shack, the fog thick around her, whispers trailing like ghosts. Eliza, deeper. The old woman was by her fire, bones scattered on the table, her milky eyes glinting in the dim light. "You're dreaming their dreams," Widow Graves said before Eliza spoke. "The spiral folk, they're pulling you in." "How do I stop it?" Eliza asked, her voice breaking. "You don't," the old woman said. "Not easily. The dreams are doors, and you've opened one. Burn the necklace, salt the house, close your mind, or they'll take you, like they took Thorne." Eliza shook her head. "I can't burn it. It's all I have of him." Widow Graves laughed, a dry, bitter sound. "It's not him anymore. It's them. The deep doesn't give back what it takes," Cliff said. Eliza left, her mind spinning. Back home, she tried to follow the old woman's advice. She sprinkled salt around the windows, burned sage until the air was thick. But the whispers laughed, and the dreams came stronger. That night, she saw the city again, clearer now. The towers pulsed with light, and the creatures danced to a rhythm she felt in her bones. Thorne was there, his body changed, tentacles curling from his arms, his face half gone, but his voice still his own. "Join us, Eliza." The Gothic sorrow fades in the cosmic wonder. She woke, the necklace on her chest again, though she hadn't touched it. It was warm, its spiral glowing faintly. She tore it off, shoving it back under the floorboard, but its hum followed her. The house felt smaller, the walls closing in. She lit every candle, but shadows still danced, forming shapes tall, thin, with too many limbs. The next day, she went to the library, desperate for answers. Mr. Linden, the keeper, greeted her with a nod. "Back so soon," he said, his eyes kind but worried. "More books," Eliza said. "On the sea, the old ones. Anything." He pulled out dusty tomes, their pages yellow and brittle. She read of ancient mariners who sailed too far, finding places where the sea and sky were one. They spoke of gods, not kind ones, but vast beings from beyond the stars, sleeping in trenches where light never reached. The spiral was their sign, a key to their world. Hollow Harbor was built on their ruins. The books said its name from hollow caverns below, where rituals opened doors to the deep. Eliza's mind reeled. The knowledge was too much, yet she craved it. She drew what she saw in her dreams maps of the underwater city, creatures with glowing eyes, stars that moved. Her hands shook as she sketched, the lines coming to icily like they weren't hers. The librarian watched, his face pale. "Be careful, Icily," he said. "Some truths aren't meant for us." She nodded but kept drawing. The dreams were a drug, each one pulling her deeper. That night, she saw the city again, but now she walked its streets. The coral towers hummed, their surfaces carved with spirals. Creatures swam above, their thoughts leaking into hers. The universe was vast, Earth a speck, time a lie. She saw Thorne, his body fully changed now, a mix of man and monster, his eyes like stars. "This is freedom," he said. "No pain, no fear, just truth." She woke screaming, the house shaking as if angry. The trapdoor in the kitchen was open again, though she'd nailed it shut. Wet footprints led from it, fading into the floor. She clutched a knife, her heart pounding. The whispers were everywhere now, chanting, "Eliza, open the door." The town was quieter than ever, the fog a wall that hid the world. She went to Amos at the inn, her hands trembling. "The dreams," she said. "They're real, aren't they?" Amos nodded, his face grim. "My pa saw them too, drove him mad." "The deep wants you, Eliza. It's been waiting." "What do I do?" she asked, tears in her eyes. "Fight," he said, "or run. But you can't run forever." She returned home, the house darker, the air thick. The necklace's hum was louder, vibrating through the floor. She didn't touch it, but she felt it calling. In her dreams that night, she was deeper than ever, swimming in a void where stars and sea were one. The creatures spoke directly now, their voices like thunder. "You are ours. Open the veil." Thorne stood beside them, smiling, his body glowing with alien light. "It's beautiful, Eliza. Let go." She woke, the room cold, the necklace in her hand. She didn't remember taking it. The spiral glowed, its holes like eyes. She dropped it, backing away, but the house groaned, and the whispers screamed. Now, Eliza ran to the cliff, the fog swirling, the sea roaring below. The stars above were wrong, moving in spirals. She felt torn, her love for Thorne, her fear of the deep, her hunger for the knowledge it promised. the Gothic weight of her loneliness mixed with the cosmic pull of something vast, something that didn't care if she broke. Chapter 5. The Lost Sailor's Ghost. The dreams had woven a web around Eliza, pulling her tighter each night, but now something new haunted her, a ghost that wore her husband's face. The fog still smothered Hollow Harbor, thick and grey, muffling the world outside her cliffside house. The necklace, hidden under the floorboard, pulsed like a living thing, its hum louder, as if it knew what was coming. The house groaned constantly now, its walls creaking with voices that weren't just whispers anymore. They called her name, clear and cold. Eliza, come to us. But it was the ghost that scared her most, because it wasn't just a dream. Was here. It started one stormy night, the wind howling like a beast, rain pounding the roof. Eliza sat by the fire, trying to read Thorne's journals, their pages full of spirals and warnings. The words blurred, her eyes heavy, when a cold draft snuffed out the candles. The room went dark, save for the fire's glow. Then she saw him, Thorne, standing in the corner, translucent as mist, his face pale, his eyes black voids that swallowed light. Eliza, he said, his voice a mix of his own and something deeper, like the sea itself speaking. Join me. In the deep. She froze, her heart pounding. Thorne, she whispered, her voice shaking. He stepped closer, his boots leaving no sound, his body shimmering like water. She reached out, her fingers passing through him, cold as ice. A shock hit her, visions of his ship, swallowed by waves. Tentacles rising from the dark, glowing with lights that weren't from this world. She saw his mind flood with knowledge, truths about stars and voids that broke him. He smiled in the vision, but it wasn't his smile, it was theirs. Eliza stumbled back, the visions fading. You're not real, she said, clutching the chair. I'm as real as you, the ghost said. The deep keeps me. It can keep you too. She grabbed salt from the kitchen, scattering it in a circle around her, something Widow Graves had taught her. The ghost flickered, but didn't leave. You can't. Shut us out, it said, Thorne's face twisting into something wrong to many eyes, too long a smile. Then it was gone, the candles flaring back to life. Eliza didn't sleep that night. She nailed boards over the windows, sprinkled more salt, but the house felt alive, its walls pulsing. The necklace's hum grew louder, vibrating through the floor. She checked the floorboard, it was still there, glowing faintly, the spiral pendant warm. She didn't touch it. The next day, the town was abuzz with fear. Others had seen ghost sailors lost to the sea, wandering the fog, their eyes black, their voices calling loved ones to the water. Timmy's mother, Mary, said she saw her brother, drowned years ago, standing outside her window. He begged me to come with him, she said, her hands trembling. Said the sea was home now. Eliza went to the church, hoping Reverend Hale could help. The building was old, its steeple leaning, stained glass dim in the fog. Hale was praying at the altar, his Bible open. Eliza, he said, looking up, his face stern. You've brought something dark to this town. It's not me, she said, it's the sea, Thorne. He's back, but not right. Hale's eyes narrowed. Ghosts are lies of the devil, or worse things from beyond, wearing our dead like masks. The deep is waking. Eliza, you've stirred it with that cursed necklace. She didn't tell him she still had it. What do I do? Burn it, he said, and pray. The Lord's light can still save you. But his prayers felt empty, the church cold. As he chanted, the fog pressed against the windows, and Eliza swore she saw faces in it, Thorne's among them, smiling. She ran home, the whispers following. Eliza, the veiled tears. That night, the ghost came again. She was in the kitchen, boiling water, when the air turned cold. Thorne appeared by the trapdoor, his body more solid now, but wrung his arms too long, fingers curling like tentacles. The deep is beautiful, he said. No pain, no fear, just truth. Join me. She threw salt at him, and he hissed, his form rippling. You can't fight forever, he said, fading. The watchers come. Eliza's hands shook as she boarded the trapdoor tighter. She read more of Thorne's journals, desperate for answers. He wrote of the ghosts taken by the deep, their souls bound to the spiral folk. They use our dead to speak, he wrote, to open the veil wider. The house is their anchor, built on their hollows. She found a note in his handwriting, tucked in a journal's spine. If I'm lost, Eliza, don't follow. The deep takes everything. Her heart broke. He'd known he was doomed. the town grew worse. Fishermen refused to go near the docks, saying the water glowed at night. Children drew spirals in the dirt, humming strange tunes. Reverend Hale held a meeting, his voice booming about sin and salvation. But the ghosts laughed, their voices echoing in the fog. Eliza saw them, two shadowy sailors wandering the streets, their eyes like stars, calling names. She went to Amos at the inn, her only ally. Thorne's ghost, she said, her voice low. It wants me to go to the sea. Amos's face was grim. My PA saw them too. Ghosts of the deep, pulling folk to the water. They're not your husband, Eliza. They're puppets. What do they want? She asked. The veil, he said. To tear it open, let the watchers through. Eliza's stomach twisted. How do I stop them? Amos shook his head. You don't. Not alone. Burn that necklace, or it'll use you. She couldn't. It was Thorne's, the last piece of him. But was it him, or them? That night, the ghost was bolder. It appeared in her bedroom, standing over her as she woke. Eliza, it said, Thorne's voice mixed with a chorus of others, deep and wrong. The veil must tear. Bring the watchers. Its hand reached for her, cold fingers brushing her cheek. Visions flooded her. The underwater city, coral towers, pulsing, creatures chanting under alien stars. Thorne stood among them, his body a mass of tentacles, his mind vast, no longer human. She screamed, throwing salt. The ghost vanished, but the visions lingered. Her head pounding with knowledge, stars dying, worlds born, beings that didn't care for Earth. She ran to the floorboard, pulled out the necklace. It burned her hand, glowing bright, the spiral, spinning like a wheel. She dropped it, and the house shook, the trapdoor rattling. The next day, she went to widow graves. The old woman sat by her fire, bones clicking in her hands. You saw him, she said. Not a question. He's not Thorne, Eliza said, tears in her eyes. But he feels like him. He's theirs, Widow Graves said. The spiral. Folk use the dead to speak. They want the veil open, to walk our world. You're the key, girl, with that necklace. How do I fight? Eliza asked. Salt holds them back, but not forever, the old woman said. Find the hollows. Close the door, or they'll take you. Eliza left, the fog thicker, the whispers louder. Eliza, now. She salted the house again, but the ghost came every night, each time more real. It stood by her bed, sat at her table, whispered from the walls. The deep is home, it said. No more pain. She tried to resist, but the visions were truths wrapped in Gothic horror, compressing her world into a pinpoint of fear and wonder. She saw the universe's birth, its end, and the watchers who waited, indifferent. Thorne's ghost promised peace, but his eyes were wrong, his smile too wide. One night, she found herself at the cliff, the necklace in her hand, though she didn't remember taking it. The sea roared below, the fog swirling, the stars above, spiraling. Thorne's ghost stood beside her, glowing faintly. Step through, it said, be with me. Eliza's heart tore up for Thorne, fear of the deep, hunger for the truth. The Gothic weight of her loss mixed with the cosmic pull of something vast, something that didn't care if she lived or broke. Chapter 6. Stars that watched the nights in Hollow Harbor grew clearer, the fog thinning just enough to let the stars shine through. But they weren't the stars Eliza knew. They hung low, too bright, moving in slow, unnatural spirals that made her head ache. The house still groaned, its walls whispering her name, and the necklace under the floorboard pulsed like a warning. Thorne's ghost haunted her every night, his form more solid, his voice colder, urging her to the sea. But now, the stars seemed to watch her too, their light piercing the fog, their patterns wrong like eyes staring down from a sky that didn't belong. Eliza stood on the cliff each evening, drawn by a pull she couldn't fight. The sea roared below, waves crashing like a heartbeat, and the stars above seemed to pulse with it. She clutched Thorne's journal, its pages worn from her constant reading. He'd written about the stars. They're not just lights, they're watchers, older than the sea, waiting for the veil to tear. His words chilled her, but they also burned with truth. She'd seen those stars in her dreams, swirling over the underwater city, guiding the creatures with tentacles and glowing eyes. One night, she brought a telescope from the attic, an old brass thing Thorne used on his voyages. She pointed it at the sky, her hands trembling. The stars weren't stars at all, some were clusters of light, shifting like faces, Others pulsed like hearts, their colors wrong, purples and greens no sky should hold. She dropped the telescope, her breath short. The whispers came louder, not from the house or sea, but from above. "Eliza, we see you." She ran inside, bolting the door, but the house felt no safer. The walls creaked, shadows moved, forming spirals that matched the sky. She checked the necklace, it glowed, brighter now, its spiral pendant spinning slowly, though no one touched it. She buried it deeper under the floorboard, piling books on top, but its hum vibrated through the house, syncing with the star's pulse. The town was falling apart. People stayed indoors, curtains drawn, afraid of the sky. Timmy told her the fishermen saw lights in the water, matching the stars above. "They danced together," he said, his voice small, like they're talking. His mother, Mary, whispered of sailors' ghosts, now seen in daylight, walking the streets with black eyes, pointing to the sky. Reverend Hale's sermons grew, frantic, calling the stars a sign of judgment, but his words rang hollow. The church's stained glass seemed to glow with the same wrong colors as the sky. Eliza went to widow graves, the fog swirling around her, the whispers now a chorus. "Eliza, open the veil." The old woman sat by her fire, bones scattered, her milky eyes fixed on nothing. "The stars," Eliza said. "They're watching me." Widow Graves nodded. "The spiral folk, they live in the deep, but their eyes are in the sky. They're close now, girl. The veil's thin as paper." "What do they want?" Elisa asked, her voice shaking. "You," the old woman said. "The necklace is their key, and you're their door." Thorne opened it, a crack, but you could tear it wide. Eliza's stomach twisted. "How do I stop them?" "Close the door," Widow Graves said. "Find the hollows under the town. Salt and fire might hold them, but you'll need more. The stars are waking them." Eliza left, her mind spinning. She went to the library, where Mr. Linden handed her a book bound in fish skin, its pages brittle. It told of ancient stars in Hollow Harbor who worshipped the sky as a sea of gods. They carved spirals to call the watchers, beings from beyond who dreamed worlds into being. The book said the stars moved when the veil was thin, signaling the deep's awakening. Eliza's dreams matched its cities under the sea, lit by stars that weren't stars, creatures chanting her name. That night, the ghost came again. Thorne stood in her bedroom, his body half man, half shadow, his eyes like the stars outside pulsing. "Wrong. The watchers see you," he said, his voice a chorus of voices. "They offer knowledge, Eliza, more than I found. Join us." She threw salt, and he flickered, but his smile stayed. "You can't hide," he said, fading. "The stars know your name." Eliza didn't sleep. She studied the sky through the telescope, sketching what she saw: spirals, faces, lights that moved, like alive. The journal had a map of the stars, drawn by Thorne, with notes, their guide to the gates, one below the cliff, one by the lighthouse. She remembered the map in the attic, marking spots in the sea, where the stars pointing her there. The next day, she went to the cove below her cliff, the fog thin but the air heavy. The water was black, waves slow and thick, like oil. She saw lights under the surface, pulsing like the stars. The whispers came from the water now. Eliza stepped through. She backed away, her heart pounding, but the stars above seemed to follow, their light cold on her skin. Amos at the inn was her last hope. "The stars," she said, showing him her sketches. "They're not right." He paled, his hands shaking. "My PA saw them too, before he went mad. Said the stars talked, told him to go to the sea." "They're not stars, Eliza. They're eyes." "What do they want?" she asked. "To come through," he said. "The deep and the sky are one. The watchers use both. That necklace, they want it back." Eliza's throat tightened. "I can't destroy it. It's Thorne." Amos grabbed her arm. "It's not him. It's a trap. Burn it, or leave this town." She couldn't. The necklace was her last tie to Thorne, even if it was poisoned. She returned home. The house darker, the air thick with salt and sage. The stars shone through the cracks in the boarded windows, their light wrong, moving. She checked the necklace. It was out of the floorboard, lying on the table, though she hadn't touched it. Its spiral spun, glowing with the same light as the sky. In her dreams that night, she was in the underwater city, but the sky was above, stars swirling into a giant spiral. Thorne stood beside her, his body a mass of tentacles, his face a mask of light. "The watchers are kind," he said. They share their truth. Let them in." The creatures chanted, their voices shaking the sea. "Open the veil. Be ours." She woke, the house trembling, the necklace in her hand. She dropped it, but the stars outside pulsed louder, their light flooding the room. Shadows danced, forming faces not Thorne's, but something older, with too many eyes. The whispers screamed, "Now!" Eliza ran to the cliff, the fog gone, the stars blazing. They moved faster, spiraling like a whirlpool. Thorne's ghost appeared, glowing like the sky. "Step through," he said, his hand outstretched. "The stars will show you everything." She clutched the necklace, its heat burning her palm. The sea roared, the stars watched, and the house groaned behind her. Her heart taller for Thorne, fear of the Watchers, hunger for their secrets. The Gothic chill of her haunted life, mixed with the cosmic terror of a universe too vast, too uncaring, to know her name. Chapter 7. The hidden cave. The stars above Hollow Harbor no longer hid their strangeness, their spiraling patterns burning into Eliza's mind each night. The fog had thinned, but a new weight settled over the town, as if the air itself was waiting for something to break. The house groaned louder, its walls pulsing with the necklace's hum. Now, a constant drone that followed her everywhere. Thorne's ghost grew bolder, appearing in broad daylight, its form more solid, its voice a chilling mix of her husband's and something ancient. The whispers from the sea and sky were now screams in her dreams, and the necklace still hidden under the floorboards seemed to call her with every heartbeat. But it was the discovery of the cave that changed everything, pulling Eliza from her haunted home into a deeper, darker mystery. Eliza hadn't planned to find it. She'd been walking the cliff path, escaping the house's oppressive air, when she noticed a narrow trail winding down to a cove below. The sea was black and restless, waves crashing against jagged rocks. The stars above pulsed in their wrong spirals, their light reflecting on the water-like eyes. The whispers followed. Her, Eliza. Deeper, she ignored them, focusing on the path, her boots slipping on loose stones. The trail led to a hidden cove, a crescent of black sand framed by cliffs. At the far end, a dark opening yonder cave, half hidden by vines and mist. Her heart pounded. Thorne's journal had mentioned a gate below the cliff, marked with spirals. Could this be it? She lit a small lantern from her bag, its flame weak against the damp air, and stepped inside. The cave smelled of salt and decay, the walls slick with algae. Her light caught strange carvings, spirals, stars, and shapes that looked like tentacles curling around towers. The air grew colder, heavier, as she moved deeper. The whispers echoed off the walls. "Eliza, you're close." At the back of the cave, she found a stone altar, like the one in her basement, but larger. Its spiral carving glowing faintly, pulsing with the same rhythm as the necklace. Bones littered the floor, not fish or seals, but something else. Too large, too smooth. She touched the altar, and visions slammed into her, an endless void. Stars swirling into faces, creatures with tentacles and wings chanting under alien skies. Their thoughts flooded her mind, knowledge of worlds beyond. Time unraveling, gods dreaming in the deep. She stumbled back, gasping, the lantern flickering. The cave seemed to breathe, the walls shifting in the dim light. She ran out, the whispers chasing her. "You can't run." On the cliff, the stars seemed closer, their light cold and sharp. Thorne's ghost stood there, glowing like the altar, his eyes black voids. "You found it," he said, his voice a chorus of the deep. "The gate. Open it, Eliza. See the truth." She shook her head, clutching the lantern. "You're not Thorne." "I'm more," he said, smiling with too many teeth. "I'm everything." She fled home, the house darker, the air thick with salt and fear. The necklace was on the table again, though she'd buried it deep. Its spiral spun, glowing with starlight. She salted the floor, but the hum grew louder, the house shaking. The cave had awakened something, or maybe she had. The next morning, she went to Widow Graves, the old woman's shack reeking of herbs and smoke. "I found a cave," Eliza said, her voice trembling, "with an altar like the one in my house." Widow Graves' milky eyes widened. "The hollows, you stepped into their heart. The spiral folk built those gates long ago. Before men walked here, they're waking now. Thanks to you." "Not me," Eliza said. "Thorne started it. You're finishing it," the old woman snapped. "That necklace is their key, and you're their door. The cave's a mouth to their world." Eliza's stomach twisted. "How do I stop it?" Destroy the necklace, Widow Graves said. Burn the journals, seal the cave with salt and fire. But it might be too late. The stars are watching. Eliza left, her mind reeling. The town was a graveyard now, doors locked, windows boarded. Timmy ran up, his face pale. Miss Eliza, the water's glowing again. And the ghosts, they're everywhere. She saw them, to Sila's ghosts, their eyes like stars, wandering the streets, pointing to the sky. The whispers were a roar now. Eliza, now. She hurried to the library, where Mr. Linden handed her a book bound in strange leather, its pages crumbling. It spoke of the Hollows caverns under the town, built by ancient worshippers who called the spiral folk through gates like the cave. The altars were keys, linking sea and sky, opening the veil to the Watcher's realm. Eliza's dreams that night were worse. She was in the cave, but it stretched into the void. Stars and sea, one endless black. The altar glowed, and the creature's tentacles wings. Eyes like suns chanted her name. Thorne among them, his body a mass of light and shadow. Open the gate, he said. Be free. She woke. The necklace around her neck, though she hadn't touched it. It burned, the spiral spinning. She tore it off, but the house shook. The trapdoor in the kitchen rattling. Wet footsteps echoed from below, slow and heavy. She grabbed a knife, her heart racing, and salted the trapdoor shut. The next day, she returned to the cave, driven by a need to understand. The whispers screamed as she entered, the air thick, the altar's glow brighter. She found more carving scenes of people offering blood to the sea, stars falling like rain. Touching the altar, visions hit again, galaxies collapsing, beings of energy watching Earth like a speck, their thoughts crushing her. She saw Thorne, no longer human, his mind vast, whispering, "The cave is the way. Join us." She fled, the stars pulsing above, their light flooding the cove. At home, the necklace was on the table again, glowing brighter. She tried to burn it, but the flames wouldn't touch it. The house groaned, shadows forming spirals. On the walls, Reverend Hale came, his face grim. "You've gone too far," he said. "The cave's alive now. Destroy it, or we're all lost." "I can't," Eliza said, tears falling. "It's Thorne." "It's not," Hale said. "It's them. The deep doesn't love, it takes." He left, and Eliza read Thorne's journals again. He wrote of the cave, a gate he'd found before his final voyage. "It calls you," he wrote. "The knowledge is worth the price." She found a map, marking the cave and others, labeled doors to the deep. Thorne had sailed to one, and it took him. That night, the ghost was in the cave when she returned, unable to stay away. It stood by the altar, glowing, its tentacles curling. "The Watchers are ready," it said. "Open the gate." She threw salt, and it screamed, fading, but the altar pulsed stronger. The whispers were deafening. "Eliza, now." She ran, the stars chasing her with their cold light. The town was breaking. Fishermen saw tentacles in the waves. Children drew spirals in their sleep. Amos told her, "The cave's awake. My PA went in once, never came back right. You gotta seal it." "How?" she asked. "Fire," he said. "And blood. The old ones need a price." Eliza gathered salt, oil, and a torch, returning to the cave at dawn. The altar glowed like a star, the air thick with whispers. She poured oil, sprinkled salt, but the torch wouldn't light. The ghost appeared, Thorne's face twisted. "You can't stop it," it said. "The stars see all." She dropped the torch, visions flooding, the universe unfolding, the Watchers waking, Earth a fleeting dream. She fought back, chanting prayers, but the altar's light grew, the cave shaking. She ran, the whispers a scream. "You are ours." Back home, the necklace was around her neck again, burning. The house was alive, walls pulsing, shadows dancing. She salted every room, but the stars' light poured through the cracks, their spirals spinning. Thorne's ghost stood in the doorway, smiling. "The cave is open," he said. "Come." Eliza's heart tore of fear and the lure of cosmic truths. The Gothic weight of her loss mixed with the terror of a universe too vast to care, compressing her world into a single choice: fight or fall.